hat on yourself, I guess. Hey, welcome to the stage, Dwight. So at 5 minutes to 6, we won't be inviting people onto the stage. But if at the 6 o'clock hour you're already on stage, we will go into extra time to give everybody an opportunity to speak. With this one caveat, as I said, I am pulling the plug no matter where we are at 6:30 because I have a 6:33 train. So I'm parked at the train station. So this is going to be interesting. Can I make it from the van to the platform on time? We're less than a minute starting officially. Oh, wow. What a huge audience today. Rodney, Lena, Soma, Mo, welcome, Frank, Denise, Dismal, Hope, Wallace, Christy, Jalal, Daniel, Aaliyah, Anand, Dr. Francine, a pleasure as always, Dee, Callie, Echo, Hakima, Adam, the other Larry, and Joe. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. Hey, Alan, welcome to the stage. Literally seconds away from the top of the hour and our beginning. Meryl, welcome to the room. Freeman Thad, welcome to the room. That air is deadly to us. The last few seconds ticking away. Leanne, welcome to the room. And we are now at the top of the hour. Welcome to the Critical Thinking Forum. We're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. And today we're going to discuss why do Kirk conspiracy theories stick? And boy, are there a bunch of them. We know that even before we know anything about the alleged shooter, and I almost hesitate to say alleged. I think it's pretty obvious here. He confessed, but okay, the alleged shooter, innocent until proven guilty and all that. There have been all kinds of complaints about how the liberals are responsible, how the conservatives are responsible. Then we have the transgender conspiracy. And I've heard the allegation that there's some kind of transgender cabal when this was some organized, even though the FBI says he acted alone, there's some organized attempt to kill Charlie Kirk. The one that really is starting to gain a lot of traction, which was first put out there by Candace Owen, is that the Israelis are behind it because, of course, we know the Israelis and the Jews are behind everything that goes wrong in society. And today that was underscored by none other than the great upholder of anti-defamation, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who would never allow anyone to say anything derogatory toward Jewish people, but she not only underscored that theory, but suggested, hey folks, watch out. Turning Point USA is a Christian organization. Charlie Kirk was a Christian. Don't let the Jews take over Turning Point. She actually said that, not in those exact words, but yes, she actually suggested that. By the way, that theory is that Bibi Netanyahu was so upset by Charlie Kirk's occasional criticism of the way the war is being prosecuted in Gaza that some folks grabbed a hold of Kirk and invited him to the Hamptons, where they had an intervention, and Bibi Netanyahu got on the phone and warned him, you better back off, buddy, you better back off. And look what happened. He was killed. Coincidence? So obviously I'm dripping with sarcasm to make the point that in Gary's opinion, all of this is utter nonsense. If we have 5 or 6 conspiracy theories and one of them happens to be true, I can say with some degree of certainty that 4 or 5 of them are utter nonsense. And I can say with a degree of without apprehension that none of these conspiracy theories are going to turn out to be true. I don't believe. But the American people love these conspiracy theories. We hold on to them. We hold on to them for dear life. And here's the thing about them that not just with regard to the Kirk assassination, but in general, that is, and there have been studies about this. I'm not an expert, but I certainly, just as you can, I can observe. Facts don't matter. You can throw out whatever conspiracy theory you believe you adhere to. And if I or it's anybody else presents facts to dispel what you just said, you won't believe the facts. Facts mean nothing. And you'll find a way to justify why the facts aren't right. It's the government lying to you. It's the mainstream media lying to you. You can't believe it. This is where our nation is today. And I would just like to say that this is not healthy, not only for the individuals, but it is clearly not healthy for the mental well-being of the republic and our attempts to face matters of massive concern, including the assassination, a political assassination of Charlie Kirk. It's a major event in our nation's history now, and we cannot analyze it and maybe even figure out what we can do to maybe mitigate the possibility of future such events if we don't accept the facts. And people do not want to accept the facts. I am told with a degree of authority, as most of you know, I don't spend time on Clubhouse other than to run this room, that the stages have been burning with conspiracy theories the last several days. Many of them pointed, of course, toward the Jews. And when people have attempted to correct them, they've been shot down. Their veracity has been challenged. That's just the way things are today, especially on social media. Why? So with that relatively brief and 60 seconds shorter than yesterday's opening salvo, I open it up to you. Remember, at 6:30, I'm hopping on a train, so we will not extend it very much past our 6 o'clock hour this time. So I will shut up and let Marshall start. Marshall, you're first.
Howdy. I shouldn't be flummoxed by Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments because she said stuff like that before, but I'm just like, I am appalled that those words came out of her mouth, or something to that effect came out of her mouth. That it's one thing from the American public, it's another thing from somebody famous in Congress to say it. To boil down, I think people like conspiracy theories because humans look for patterns. And in times that are bad or catastrophic, people look for a pattern that produced the events. And I think a lot of the time, people who are more susceptible to conspiracy theories seek patterns where there are none. I don't know what the clinical term for overseeing patterns in your life is, but there seems to me to be a problem where people look for connections that aren't there to make sense of a bad event. And I'm not sure why it's human nature that we look for that, but it is, to say the very least, disturbing. I think all conspiracy theories are irritating, and I don't like them. I honestly can't stand conspiracy theories. They make me angry, believe it or not, because it doesn't seem like people using their minds. It seems like people just jumping to conclusions that aren't there. So I'll leave it with that.
Thank you, Marshall. Howard.
Hi, Gary. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so when you first put the topic out there, Gary, I was thinking that conspiracy theories stick, and I was just thinking about, wow, it's still so recent, and there's just so much noise out there. And I know his funeral service is going to be like, Sunday, so it's still the wounds are fresh and unhealed. But then, as I started to think more about it, and you mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene, obviously there's conspiracy theory out there that some people do believe, a lot of people don't believe it, but about the space lasers and relating to a certain ethnic group. Before that,
you could say who she pointed the finger at. Jewish lasers that started the forest fires in California.
Right, and maybe, who knows, maybe they guided the assassin on how he targeted. Who the hell knows? Pizzagate's another famous one, right, about what was going on in Washington, D.C., and particularly with Hillary Clinton and child trafficking and things like that. But I think aside of it, too, to partially answer the question, I don't think there's one simple, complete answer that just fits neatly in a box. But definitely a major contribution to the flurry and the nourishing, if you will, of these conspiracy theories is something you brought up the other day, Gary. It is social media, and specifically the algorithms. And why that's so important to a company like Meta. And while I was sitting here, I just looked it up. Meta stock right now is trading at $775 a share. It's 28 times earnings, and its market valuation is just under $2 trillion. And for someone like Meta, and it also is the same for X, also the same for TikTok and other social media companies, Google, YouTube, people like that. But a click equals ad revenue. So the more that they can identify those topics and those things that are very sensational, and you think about like reality TV and how that's become so popular in the TV media market, but when it comes to social media, the more sensational it is, the more click. Every time you as the user, as the consumer, make that click, they're making money. So the more that they can further amplify it to reward their shareholders, that's another major contribution to why these conspiracy theories stick. It's because they're essentially trying to tantalize us, get us so addicted on dopamine and everything that we're just clicking. And every time we're clicking, it's a ka-ching for their cash register. And I'll land Skylab there. Thanks, Gary.
And their algorithms push us toward the extreme viewpoints, not to voices of moderation, such as we hear every day here at Critical Thinking Forum.
Exactly.
Thank you, Howard. Now our designated hitter in the cleanup position is Mr. Scott.
Hey man, we play real baseball we used to in my city.
Hey, by the way, the Cubs did clinch the playoffs first time in 2020. I'll land it there.
Congratulations, Tower. It's fantastic. And I think the Phillies right now have the second best record in baseball, right? I'm not sure. Somebody might know that. They can validate that in the Messenger chat, which is the best Facebook Messenger chat available on the entire app, maybe in the entire universe, Gary. I'm easily ready to make that claim on the behalf of the Critical Thinking Forum as its cleanup hitter. I think in general people have epistemic, existential, and social motives for believing in conspiracy theories, right? Epistemically, right, we need to understand conspiracy theories give you structure, albeit inaccurate, often and spotty, but when the world's uncertain, they offer explanations, they make connections. Human beings are addicted to causality. That's what the great philosopher David Hume taught us, right? We have an addiction to cause and effect. We have an addiction to X causes Y, even when it doesn't, right? Even when we can't demonstrate that it does. Our brain just makes connections, right? It loves to do that. And so, I think there's epistemic need, right? We don't know. That can be very, very disorienting. I interviewed a woman one time for a podcast who was a dissonance researcher, and she just said, we just hate cognitive dissonance, right? It's very difficult for us to accept. So, yeah, I think it's there's the epistemic thing. There's the existential need, right? We have a need for safety and control in our lives, right? We need security blankets psychologically, and I think in uncertain times, and gosh, I mean, a lot of people, right? A lot of people feel uncertain in the Trump administration, in the time in our country with all the division, all the sort of sturm and drang and upheaval, at least perceived upheaval. People have a need for safety and control, and so people, it's interesting too. I was making this point in a podcast interview yesterday. One of the things that's interesting about America is that everybody feels like an outsider. Everyone feels like they're losing. If you're on the right, this country's in a socialist takeover, and the universities run everything, and the liberal elites are killing the country. If you're on the left, we're becoming fascist. The right wing's taking over, right? Trump, we're losing democracy. If you're a gun rights advocate, they're taking away the guns. We're losing all our gun rights. If you're a gun control person, the NRA runs the country, right? Everybody's got this need for security and safety, and having a story that makes us feel safe and secure and in control. Right? So I think that's another reason they're popular. Also, a need for belonging. There's social motives, right? I think that conspiracy theories often tell us who the in-group is, who the out-group is. It's the Jews, right? The space laser. It's the don't let the Jews take over Turning Point. That's
when in doubt, just say it's the Jews.
Just say the Jews, Gary. I mean, that's it, of course. So all these things, right? The existential, the epistemic, the social cohesion motives are all really powerful, and I think they're all very much at play in our culture right now, right? I mean, I think it's just very ripe for that sort of thing, right? And the other thing is, I think on top of all those basic psychological realities and sociological realities, social media helps a lot, right? You can get siloed pretty easily, and you can find seemingly credible sources that, there are bloggers and podcasters and vloggers and YouTubers and people on Vine, all these things, TikTok, that you can that have pretty high production value, and they can, conspiracy theories always have existed in American life, right? But it's different when you only had a few channels, and Walter Cronkite wasn't going to spin them out. But now you've got people that have pretty high production value and can grab an audience. We're in the attention economy, and people can get attention. And so I think not only are these do conspiracy theories speak to the basic human needs psychologically and sociologically, I kind of mentioned, but we have the mechanisms to promulgate them. And so those are some of the reasons that I think conspiracy theories flourish today, Gary. And of course, if there were a Jew to take over Turning Point, it should be you, Gary, because you're always turning great points in this room. So what better Jew to take it over?
You're going to see Marjorie Taylor Greene making the comment that she has on good authority that Gary Baumgartner is trying to take over Turning Point. Don't let it happen, she will say.
She's not an unattractive woman. I mean, she's kooky, but she's not unattractive in a weird kind of crazy way.
Right. Okay. You always manage to find the silver lining to a gray cloud, Scott.
Of course. Look, man, this is what we Christians do, right? Right. It's always darkest before the dawn.
Oh my God. So we need to even make some religious reference to that. By the way, Agent Malone, we've been trying to invite you up, but you're not making the trip. It sounds like we're ignoring you. Dwight.
How's it going?
It's going, my man. It's going.
Same here. Yeah, I think I'll probably be pretty brief. Also, Marshall, the word for that is apophenia, Apophena. Tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. The reason I wanted to mention that is because I just wanted to kind of piggyback. I think that's a big part of it. I think to expand on that, I think, although this is speaking very broadly, I just can't help but feel that our education system and our kind of culture, in terms of some of the anti-intellectualism that we have, is the reason why this is able to stick. Because, in my experience, most people are not very good at verifying information. You can tell a lot of people that spend these kind of things, if they're not being intellectually dishonest, if you spend enough time with them, a lot of them are not able to distinguish even factual statements from opinion statements. Sorry. Somebody started vacuuming in the middle of my sentence. Sorry about that. There's actually there's studies on this, but basically they've done studies to where, okay, sorry, y'all, I keep getting interrupted. They've done studies where people have a difficulty differentiating a statement of opinion from a statement of fact. And this is not to say the accuracy of a statement, but just something like, if I say, this vanilla ice cream in my hand is white, that's a statement of fact. If I say this vanilla ice cream tastes good, that's an opinion. A lot of people, and in these studies, the ones that I've seen two, over half of the people could not make that distinction, let alone get into the actual accuracy of that. And I think that people's inability to delineate between those things, people's inability to kind of understand scholarly research and how you would go about verifying things, what qualifies as a valid source, combined with the apophenia, is why this sort of thing is able to stick. They're not able to adequately look into like data. They're not able to adequately even critically think to consider whether the things that are being espoused are even rationally sound. I mean, we're lacking in every category. Rhetoric, ability to distinguish facts from opinion. I mean, you name it. So I think that this could be combated if we had a more robust, not just education system, but like a more robust appreciation for education, and I guess just, I know this sounds crazy, but like just fucking objective reality. I think we could mitigate a lot of that. Of course, it would always exist, but right now, the lack of information, the lack of due diligence, and people's inability to even attempt to do that, and having a platform and can speak anywhere online, anywhere in the world at any time, it's just a perfect storm, and it's run rampant.
Thank you for that insight, Dwight. Dude. Dude going once. Dude going twice.
Kyle, you there?
Les.
So one thing is to, when you get one of these conspiracy theories, for example, the Jews did this or that, do some reasonability checks, like the victim's wife. She wants the killer punished, and she hasn't been saying this, and she's a smart woman, and if you make a big claim, you got to produce big evidence, and without it, I can ignore what you say. And so where is all this crap coming from? First, we're making machines. That's what human beings do. And we make up patterns from that don't exist. Two, we want to believe in cosmic justice theory, cosmic justice, that a big thing happens because some big opposing force did it, not someone that happened to have a bullet and a hunting rifle around. That was someone that dropped out of school and wasn't having a good time of it, and perhaps wanted to have this feeling like he had accomplished something. It's not a comfortable feeling, but there is no cosmic justice. as JFK told his wife before he was assassinated, days before his assassination, you know, anybody that wants to assassinate somebody can. And then three, we have all these attention whores and actual financial whores that are putting these things out because they want attention and they want money. And there is no feedback mechanism or accountability. And I think there should be more mechanisms that me as an individual, I can turn off parts of my feed that aren't giving, where we have people giving me information and then not correcting it when it's wrong. In Gary's field, the people that do this for a living, like Gary, basically they have the capitalist death penalty. If you make a mistake, then you lose your job and probably your career. We need to have not quite that, but something like that. You know, we have people with even less skill, basically randos on the internet. But you know, there are certain strangers I just don't want to talk to if they've turned out to be giving me bad information, and then not, when they find out about it, not correcting it. And I agree with a lot of other things people have been saying. Thank you.
Of course, the problem, Les, when it comes to the internet, social media, is that you don't know whether you agree or disagree with them, or whether you recognize something as not passing the smell test until after you hear it. So I don't know how you create an internal algorithm to prevent yourself from seeing that, other than not watching shorts or reels or adhering to TikTok, all three of which give you these quick bursts of information or disinformation. Because of time it's out, it's in your ears and in your brain, and you couldn't avoid it. You couldn't avoid it.
You avoid hearing from the same misinformation.
Right. Don't go back to the same person twice. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like the old saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me."
Right. And have a principle that you don't believe anything. Big information, a big claim needs big, reliable proof, and ignore stuff that doesn't meet that standard.
Well, as you know, Les, I often am clicking away trying to check the veracity of things that people say, not because I'm trying to do a gotcha, but because if it's something I hadn't heard before, it's like, what? And then I try to check it, and if they're wrong, I will point it out. But yesterday, the next caller said something that seemed totally incredulous. I said, what? And it turned out that he was right. And I said that as well, because it's important for us to collectively check ourselves and determine what's being promulgated on this stage. The one area where we have a little bit of control in social media is accurate. So we can always check each other's veracity, including mine, folks. Please feel free. Thank you, Les.
One more thing. It's
sure.
The person that makes the claim that is responsible for providing the evidence.
Yes, that is true. But people aren't always willing to do that. Thank you, Les. Chris.
Oh, Gary.
Oh,
you did that thing I like. You gave me some praise before I got up here. And also something else I like, and I beat King and Brian, which I don't see Brian on the stage, or King, which means I might have some runway here. Gary, that was I agree with that last topic that you spoke about with Les. But the last thing I don't agree with is I don't think it's the person who made the accusations job per se to prove with proof. Which even though we should, because that is the intellectually right thing to do. If you make a claim, support it with facts. But we all have to be honest. That actually should fall upon the person who also received the claim, not the person that gave it. You should also want to double check the person who talks to you, regardless if it's the person that you love the dearest or the person you despise the most. Never just take anything at face value. If that's possible in your life, take a few minutes just to verify everything. It'll save you, it'll save them, hell, it'll save us. So let's get to the topic. The topic is, why do Kurt's conspiracy theories stick? Well, Dwight actually sound like a new voice. I haven't heard Dwight before, but Dwight was right on time. Most of this stuff is intellectual. Most of this stuff is because people don't take the time to research. Most of this stuff is because people don't take the time to read. Most of this stuff is they rather trust reliable air quote source over actually doing a little bit of research for the sake of laziness. A lot of people just eat up and consume what they are told without doing a lick of research, and they will regurgitate that exact claim from Fox News, CNN, The Guardian, whatever they see without even verifying it. Same goes for our FBI director. Hey, he gets told something, hey, I'm going straight to the news with it. Forget me actually trying to figure it out and make sure things is cleared up and concise. Sorry, my alarm went off. Cleared up and concise. No, we're going to go with this theory because I was told this theory was exactly what it is. So, miseducation is the lack of education. Also, moving down the line, it's kind of hard to beat a conspiracy theory when it starts at the top. When the top is telling you what X, Y, and Z is prior to information coming out, regardless if the top is your CEO's company, your statistics engineer in your business, your accountant, whoever it is at the top that gives you misinformation can push a conspiracy theory and you without you even noticing. And that's normally what we're seeing these days. We're watching information coming from the top that is not completely verified and just kind of swung out there to see what type of stuff will stick to the wall, as they say, see what spaghetti sticks. And that's dangerous too, but hey, we're watching it in real time. That's how these conspiracies, are being fed. They're telling you, hey, wait till you find out that it's a transgender a part of this. And hey, they're telling you that it was the left without any information. And those are just theories which could lead to conspiracy, which is crazy. Like I said, coming from the top, you would think that anybody from the top would just more presidentialness to themselves through the whole administration and take a little, make sure it's done correctly. But welcome to September 17th or 18th of 2025, and that's just out the question in this administration. The last thing I would say would be something that we all overlooked, not all, but a lot of us overlooked and did not realize or did not recognize what was going on in real time. A lot of us don't we buy in or don't buy in, but we buy into these conspiracy theories because a lot of us have no clue what's going on the internet. A lot of us don't know who all these factions of the right are. As much as they try to say, the left is radical and they got all these bad things going on, and they, they're all killers and they're domestic terrorists. Hey, a lot of us have no clue that there's 6 or 7 different factions in the Republican right that are young alt-right groups. And it sucks because we're all listening to find out a lot of people don't know who Charlie Kirk is. But then we go down the rabbit hole, and I wasn't shaming people for not knowing who Charlie Kirk was. I was more like, damn, how y'all don't know who Charlie Kirk is? Like, it's like really deep in the Republican Party. Like, he's one of their guys. But then I realized it's Josh Shapiro, I don't know all their names. But we all know that we're talking about
Ben Shapiro.
You get it. Yeah, well, what? You get it.
Yeah.
It's all these other
Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro is the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania. Ben Shapiro is the right-wing pundit to whom I think you tried to refer.
That is exactly who I was referring to, and I appreciate y'all correcting me. I'm not always factually right when it comes to names because I don't remember people's names. But again, it's just like we're watching different factions show up. And so hearing that, oh man, the Pizzagate, me and Gary, we talk about that often here, how Pizzagate was one of those things that just tricked people into believing things. But I don't know who the hell started the Pizzagate scandal. You know what I mean? It goes all the way down to now they're saying, oh, well, the guy was like a trans-loving, conservative man at far right of the conservative party. I don't know about them people. I didn't know. Obviously, I put in the group chat. If you guys are not in the group chat on Facebook, it's a great chat. Sometimes you get just random talks, but a lot of documentation. It's a lot of stuff you can read if you actually end up reading. Hopefully, most people are. But a lot of those things I have no clue about these people. I don't know that there is a group of people that have that type of niche issue in America that are on the right side of the politics. That the right side does not claim, but the right side understands they're there. But half of America doesn't know that there's a section in their group that does that type of stuff or have that type of viewpoint. Even when the conspiracy on the internet starts as they're leftists and he's trans, he loves trans people and all these things, you're like, damn, why are they using this type of language? But you have no clue that there's a faction in their own political party that actually pushes those type of mindsets and agenda. And
now, do you recognize some of the conspiracy theories surrounding Charlie Kirk that are coming from the left as well?
All right, Gary, I'm not going to hold you up here, but give me a few.
Oh, you're asking me to give you a few?
Yeah, just give me one or two of the ones that they're currently using.
Well, they're out there. I mentioned them before during my opening salvo. So your answer, no, because you don't recognize that they exist, right?
Well, I would like, and I'm not trying to go back and forth with you. I'm just not sure what actually you're speaking of.
Which means that you haven't heard them, or if you've heard them, you have not discounted them.
Well, I have not figured out what you're talking about, so I can't agree or deny what you're saying. Again, I've heard them speak. I've heard them speak things about him, but I haven't heard anybody just screaming, "Oh, he was right-leaning." I heard that his parents were right-leaning, but again,
how about it's the authoritarian, fascist, Nazi way that this country is being run from this president on down, including Charlie Kirk, that resulted in his assassination.
Okay.
That if it were not for that rhetoric, including his own, he would not have been killed. That's coming from the left.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I have not heard that. If anything, I've heard that, and I mean, when we're speaking about the left, are we speaking about politics, or are we talking about?
Well, look, we're not talking about. The reason I hesitated when you asked me for an example is because I'm not trying to malign everybody on the left, as I've seen many of the right-wing pundits attempt to do, and to suggest that anybody who's on the left is part of that group who's celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And I can guarantee you, yes, there are people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and they're idiots, but they're probably less than 0.1% of the total population of the United States, much less, how would you even say that they are representative of the left? But I'm just suggesting that some of this is coming from the left as well, and and that's why I asked you whether you recognize it, and your answer is no, you don't.
Yes, I don't, but I'm asking my last question to you about that, and I'll continue and I'll finish very briefly. Is that coming from the top? Is that coming from the politicians?
Well, it doesn't matter where it's coming from.
Well, that's the part of the conversation.
It's out there, and so I'm just suggesting that we have to be perhaps broad in our interpretation and recognize that there are all kinds of conclusions reached by all kinds of people from all differing perspectives, and all of it is wrong until the facts are evident. In this case, they are not.
Gary, I should show and grow, because actually I feel like without me even putting all this together, I baited you into that. Because my last point, Gary, was why do conspiracy theories stick? because we figured out in this country that we will take tally on every voice that we see on social media and believe that that voice is worthy of being pushed out to be a narrative that everybody should either see or understand. The reason I say that, and
If we agree with that voice, right? If we agree, if we agree with that voice,
the voice can normally be a voice that you've actually heard that makes something worth agreeing in. Well, the point ain't about the agreeing. The point is when we take tally in that aspect, we miss the fact that a lot of the internet is filled with bots. A lot of the internet is filled with people that are programmed. Let me start over. A lot of those things online, on these pages, on your Facebook, in those comments, on your X, and those replies are bots. We don't have physical faces or bodies to go with a lot of those narratives. And those narratives also push the conspiracy theories. Okay. So if we're always taking tally of but the Democrats, when they're on your side, and we don't see a face and we can't pinpoint it being from the leadership or the top, then that's how we continuously push the conspiracy theories, because the conspiracy theories can and have been fed by the bots, whichever bots they come from. I don't know if they're Russia bots, China bots, North Korea bots, American bots.
You're right, you made your point. You made your point.
Last thing.
I thought that was the last thing. We got to go because I got to catch an early train.
I got you.
Got to catch an early train, Chris.
I'm sorry, Gary.
That's all right. That's all right. You get wound up, and I appreciate it. Listen, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I had to. So I guess I did mean to. Listen, I've been experimenting. I've reported it back here that I did some experimentation along with a friend. We went to these two AI chat programs and tried to determine how we can manipulate the chat to say what we wanted it to, and then we would change the topic or our tone, and the chat would come back, this chat companion stuff. They always agreed with everything we suggested, no matter what we suggested. So it was very boring. Yeah, but people get hooked onto that. But the point is, you can have a conversation with even just ChatGPT or with Grok. You can have a conversation as if you're having a conversation between Chris and Gary, and it'll answer in logical terms. You can have an intellectual discourse. I don't know how that's possible, but that's exactly what's happening. Most people maybe use ChatGPT to try to search something like they will Chrome. Take the next step and try to have a conversation. Try to have a theological conversation, or whatever hobby you have, astrology or knitting. Have a conversation with ChatGPT about astrology or knitting, and tell me whether that conversation mirrors the kind of conversation you might have in an astrology club or a knitting club, and you will not be able to tell the difference. So you're absolutely right that a lot of this is being fed now, not by just individuals who are sitting behind the screens putting out disinformation, but by that are programmed to do so. And that's a good point. Thank you for that, Chris Merrill.
Yes, I'm going to be a little bit more basic. I think conspiracy theories stick because people want them to. I think that, first of all, you're talking to a room full of people who try to do some research. There are people who don't know how to do research. They absolutely do not know how. So they regurgitate what they hear. And I think Scott touched on it a little bit about what people need socially. I'm going to go a little bit different. People want to be part of something. And so you're all exposed. Every part of us is exposed. Our nerves are exposed. Our vulnerabilities are exposed. And somebody hones in right on it. Somebody says, hey, like you used Marjorie Taylor Greene as an example, Jews and laser and stuff. Somebody honed right in. You can bet that there were people who believed it because they wanted to. It resonated with them that Jews do bad things. Oh, Jews can do these things. And it just honed right in on them. And that's how it happens. And then there are some conspiracy theorists, people who fall for them because it gives them a sense of belonging. Maybe they weren't popular in school, or maybe nobody pays attention to them, but they get involved with conspiracy theorists and they have these exchanges, and now somebody's listening to them, and now they're getting some kind of recognition, and they have some kind of belonging to something. And I think that is a way to look at it also. That's pretty basic, but that's what I think. Thanks.
Thank you, Meryl. Once again, folks, it's an abbreviated version today if we go into extra time. So I'm going to hope to get to everyone, but I'm taking an earlier train. I'm emanating from the parking lot of the train station. Freeman.
Me. I'll try to be quick. So the minor answer I would give to why do Kirk conspiracy theories stick is, why do conspiracy theories stick in general, especially in the time we live in? I think like the social media age and the digital age we live in, we have algorithms that show us what we want to see, not necessarily what's objectively true. And also social media means everyone, like myself right now, has a microphone. And while everyone should have the right to have a microphone, it's dangerous, more dangerous in people who are capable of articulating themselves as hands than others. And so now you have forums online where people can congregate and really indulge on viral conspiracy theories. And then also information overload. I think we're getting information not just from traditional news sources, but everywhere. And that lends itself to conspiracy theory. But I want to touch on this last point, which I think is the bigger reason. So why do Kirk conspiracy theories stick? Why do we see people believe, before we have any information, even though we've gathered some recently, why do people believe, oh, it must have been maybe an African American that did this? And so HBCUs, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, HBCUs were targeted.
Yeah, they got a bunch of bomb threats. You're exactly right.
Exactly.
A bunch of them. All across the nation, that was obvious.
And that's terrifying. And then you have obviously, it's the Jews, and you have people like Candace Owens putting that forward. And so you have this situation where people are taking Charlie Kirk and projecting their personal interests onto him, right? Charlie Kirk becomes a projection of each group's pet's fears. And they formulate a narrative that helps process the huge amount of information rushing their way. So instead of slowly digesting the information and seeking to cautiously process it, it's easier to build up what you already have as a preconceived notion and say, okay, this is why this happened. And now you have a microphone and you have a platform to do it all over the world with the internet. So it's really a terrifying time we live in, and it's a crisis time. And what makes it very sad is that people who promulgate conspiracy theories will not let this great crisis go to waste. I land my plane.
I love that last line. Thank you, Freeman. Dominic.
Yeah, I like that last line too. Hey, Gary.
Never let a good conspiracy theory go to waste, or never let a good crisis go to waste in order to push a conspiracy theory. That's great. So I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that one. Go ahead, Dominic.
I'll be quick. Two things. First, I've been listening for about a month and not participating, as I wanted to hear and learn what other people had to say besides myself. And it's been very interesting and enjoyable, Gary. Second thing, in answer to your provocative question, I was wondering why this particular individual, Tom, I don't know what his name is, I haven't memorized it, but why the conspiracy theory of Mr. Kirk stuck with him. That is a question I think I can at least kind of get my hands around, why an individual person, because I look at it and he said, this man took an action based on a belief. Because I listened to the tape
or the text of he and his roommate, in which the roommate asked why, and the alleged assassinator said it was because he was spewing hate. So it was a full sentence. I forget what the full sentence was, but essentially it was that somebody had to do something about this guy who's spreading hate. And I thought, wow, that's the essence of a conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory if it's true.
Well, it may or may.
And I know hate is in the eye and the ear of the beholder.
Yeah,
I recognize that.
Yeah, thank you. So my point being, though, is that an individual took action. And it's pretty illogical to be taking action based on a belief that is, amorphous. I read on the internet that he spreads hate. So I'm taken by that, because one of my great concerns is that action, in other words, individual physical action based on the perception of a belief system that's based on, one gentleman said, bots. This to me is the crux of the problem. Once you take an action based on non-factual belief systems, I don't know what we do with that as a society. In other words, do we criminalize the behavior? In other words, firing a shot, killing somebody is a crime. Believing a conspiracy theory is not. So there's kind of like a distinction here. I don't know, maybe it's for adults only or something. I'm not sure. It really gets to that point about that gentleman who I've never heard him before, but he made Winston, I think it was, a couple of good points there that I agree with. I think that the question is how do we separate the freedom to believe something from the consequences of taking action? How do I teach my grandchildren, who are going to be completely data driven and AI? They're 5 years old. They're not like me, who spent 60 years without a computer. Well, maybe not 60, but 50. And so I know how to think without looking on my phone. I don't know what we do with that, Gary. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. We're going to go into extra time early because I have to catch that early train, so we're not going to invite anybody else up on the stage. I'm going to try my best to get it to everyone. I don't know that I will, but I will try double.
Hi, thank you, Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So, people believe in conspiracy theory. First of all, a lot of what people classify as conspiracy theories are true or have an element of truth, right? And people are looking for, I think a better way to frame them is a conspiracy hypothesis rather than it's just a lot of people, it's like, this may have happened, and then here's all the evidence supporting this thing. Most people aren't very well educated or, sophisticated in how they discuss this, as I kind of mentioned yesterday in my share. But so, it comes off as sounding, crude and ignorant and unsophisticated and so forth. But I think people are aiming for something. It's kind of part of the general sense. And sometimes we learn that, lo and behold, these things people were in for decades turn out to be true, or there's part of it that's true, or there's strong evidence that could have led someone in a certain direction. So, and some of these things are manufactured. The UFO stuff, there's strong evidence, as I understand it, that the CIA was partly behind a lot of the hype in the 90s, for instance. But anyway, the other thing to mention is, well-coordinated minorities have outsized influence in, especially in democracies and things like this. So people who are already prone to magical thinking and who are, feel like their lives are affected by, the decisions or the directions of well-coordinated minorities, it's easy for them to connect the dots and come up with all kinds of crazy ideas and ascribe all kinds of things to people that, it's not a very high resolution picture of what's happening, but maybe roughly they're describing something that, and then they sound crazy. In the case of this guy, I think everyone, all the people, even the people like me who kind of get caught up in talking about free speech and all this stuff, I think we're overthinking it in a way. I think, where I've landed with this is this guy is in he's in a relationship. He has a tryst with this other individual, and we see it if you watch the film Dog Day Afternoon. We see this archetype of the guy who wants to get the trans surgery, so he's willing to rob a bank. He's willing to hold a dozen people hostage and commit all kinds of crimes because he wants to be the hero, this romantic thing, right? And I have another friend who, in a similar, had a trans lover and emptied gave his whole inheritance for this person's medical services.
And I know people who've had straight lovers and given up their entire inheritance.
Exactly.
So I don't know what the point is.
There's Bonnie and Clyde, another straight example. You have Bonnie and Clyde, this romance of we're going to go off and we're going to commit all these crimes and so on and so forth. I think it's as simple as that. This is about an individual who got something up his bonnet about Charlie Kirk for whatever reason. And I think all of us are overthinking. We're all in some kind of conspiracy theory on this. And
he didn't just decide he was going to walk up to somebody and punch somebody. He decided he was going to take a bolt-action rifle, practice for a 200-yard shot, and then snipe a dude at 200 yards, which just
absolutely do it.
Is just so you're aware, is a longer distance than people can hear voices at. Right?
Yeah. I mean, from his text, it was
random.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Marshall. But I hear voices when there's nobody around. But I get your point. I'm going to move on only because we're really short on time, and I'm pressuring myself.
It was a good shot, and his grandfather's $2,000 scope was a good scope. Thank you, Gary.
Jane, I can run the room. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Thanks for your moderation.
All right, Jane, you're up.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gary. Want to go back to what we heard from Dominic, just conceptually, no specifics about Dominic, but it took me a minute to realize that what he was describing in this way that makes it sound so concerning to him or aberrant is literally the way the human brain works, Gary. We are a critical thinking forum. The brain works, very oversimplified, by having a moral, conceptual belief system. He talked a lot about beliefs, and these are known to us and unknown to us, and we take actions based on them. There's nothing weird about that. So I just sometimes when it's your field, you have to geek out and go, wait, that's not a problem. That's what happens. That's how it works. So, okay, on the issue of the Kirk conspiracy theories, which to me, a limited follower of this seem no surprise to be immediately focused on Jews in Israel, so anti-Semitic, in nature. And obviously, personally, those are the most concerning to me and my family, and of course, many of our friends here. And to me, that is nothing more than, unfortunately, been there, done that, same old America. The Jews will be blamed, and it goes far beyond our history. And this sucks. But I also ask myself, why are so many Jews okay with the trade-off of politically supporting people who, yeah, they'll express their concern for the country of Israel, the nation state of Israel, and but they don't like Jews, Gary. They're not our friends. So it's a strange trade-off. I realize that's a topic for another day, but of course I was just wanting to raise, I didn't know if you did, I missed your opening salvo, but the anti-Semitic nature of the most significant conspiracy theories are frightening, actually, and Jews are not safe in America. It's a lot. And, you know, so it goes. Life in America.
And of course, I did mention that during the opening salvo, but I
Okay,
appreciate
I
you bringing it up
figured.
again. Yeah, thank you. Dave.
So I from
Try
the
again,
far
Dave.
right.
Start again, Dave, because you cut out.
So I asked ChatGPT, give me a list of conspiracy. Most of them, the first top 10 are all from the far right, right? And then I said, why is it all coming from far right? Then I asked, give me the far left conspiracy. Then it come up, right? It forced to come up. The question is, in the clubhouse, which conspiracy stick, right? I mean, by going to many rooms, okay, before I go there, so there are different category of conspiracy. There are a lot of opportunistic conspiracy, like what the prior speaker say. Don't let the good conspiracy go to waste. Again, Gary, you can ask the ChatGPT, what other variation of this expression? Yeah, I think it came up, two which are very good. I won't have time to talk here, but these are just opportunistic. They just want to increase their clickbait and all this thing, and they won't stick. What really stick a lot is the Epstein theory, right? Most of the clubhouse thing, because they hate Trump, they associate Kurt with Trump. They don't really care so much of the anti-Jews, but Kurt is Trump. So it's all about Epstein. It's got nothing to do with Kurt. It's all about, distracting from the Epstein. That is from the left part. But there is also very interesting trend that the New Nation media is now focusing on looking at all the left-wing media and saying that, look, all this left-wing media cannot even open the mouth and say, this got to do with transgender. They cannot. They're all stuck. And he's compiling a whole list. Look, CNN and all these MSNBC, when it comes to transgender, they just close their mouth. They're stuck. Then the whole thing is frozen. So, that's my observation. I keep it short.
Yeah, thank you. And as I pointed out yesterday, people who are transgender are not making a political statement necessarily, So there may be greater support for people who are transgender from one political side than the other. I don't know, but that's a sense that I think we all have. But it's not a political statement to say that you're transgender. It's not a political statement to say that you're gay. It's not a political statement to say that you're straight. But we tend to try to buttonhole people in that way. I'll be.
Sure. Hi. How you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the obvious reasons for conspiracy are that most of them become proven later on, right? So let's try to get straight to the point. People are not used to people telling the truth, and that's an unfortunate part of modern society. Therefore, we have to come up with our own truth. And
is that a definition of truth? Coming with our own truth?
Well, we have to come up with the truth, right? Don't we? If we don't believe what's been told, to
Well,
us.
why don't you believe what's been told? Have you facts? And this is a very broad question because we're not
Sure.
talking about a specific. But
Right.
do you have facts to prove that what you've been told in general is inaccurate?
About this specific case, or any
No.
particular
You said
case?
you said in general, but we're trying to discuss why people accept these conspiracy theories, and you said that they accept the conspiracy theories because we've been lied to. So if you believe you've been lied to, you have to come up with a counterbalance to that with facts. Have you seen facts to counterbalance all these lies that you claim we've been told by whoever it is you believe is telling us them?
Good. Very, very astute.
You sit listening to the Utah prosecutor. Systematically, he goes through the cases. He reads the text messages between Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs, and so and you hear every nuance. It's incredible evidence that they shared, and they publicly shared it. It's not, it's something. Obviously, in a courtroom, you're going to have a defense attorney that's going to question certain how they discovered it and go through the veracity of it. But it was pretty cut and dry what we're listening to. You can't listen to that and think, when he reads the text, this is someone with like a disordered intelligence who's hearing voices in their head, or Jodie Foster is telling them to do something. This guy says in those text messages that he's tired of the hate and he wanted to do this. I mean, just go back and listen to the press conference. Listen to the forensic evidence that was found on the scene, what they shared with the public, what the DA was sharing. The only thing this guy was scared of was his dad and his grandpa's gun. And, the sad part that his mother is the one that recognized him, that he had to be, outed by his family. But he thought he was going to get away with it. That's the other thing, that listening to those text messages, it's on and on about that he should go back and get the gun, and will they have any traces of him? This isn't a guy that was planning like a school shooter to kill himself at the end, or the shooter in the first Trump shooter. I mean, this is like someone who clearly thought he was going to get away with it, and then he suffered like a Dostoevsky moment of, was he going to get caught or not? So I guess my point on all of this is that for the public to just pay attention to what, this isn't the media, this is the district attorney, this is the federal agents, the regional federal agents, it's the sheriffs from that area, it's it's FBI senior officials giving facts, specific facts. And the fact that people want to ignore this and say, no, none of that happened, this is coming from a foreign government, and this is coming from another influence, is just mind-boggling to me. And I mean, that it goes back to just this incredible division that we have, this siloing that people are in, and probably, as someone said earlier, the algorithms that they're seeing on their phone that's just feeding something that's illogical to me. I mean, again, this is real forensic criminal information that was shared. We don't often get that specific from a district attorney doing a press conference, and the fact that just gets ignored by people is my point. It's shocking to me.
And to that point, Abby, and you're absolutely right. As someone who has covered this for over 50 years, law enforcement, it's extraordinarily transparent what is going on right now in Washington County, Utah, and and I think the reason they're doing that, frankly, is because they want the public to know what they know, to try to avoid this kind of craziness that's going on. And yet we have people as it was expressed by the previous caller, who have their own truth. So even when it's laid out to them, and I think this gets back to a message, a back channel message you and I had a few minutes before we started today, and that is you can throw all the facts at somebody. Once they hold on to something, they're not going to let go of it, even when we hold the facts up to them. I think that's kind of a mental illness.
All you can hope is that this goes through a proper tribunal, that once again these facts come out through a court proceeding, and even then they will probably still hold on to some bizarre theory that, you know, there's Jodie Foster, I mean, I'm using that example, that there's some other crazy thing or some other government interfering in this guy's life, when in fact he had, you know, they're showing motive, they're reading his own words. You know, it's pretty glaring, but people.
It is. And by the way, he was apolitical. So for those who say that he was a tool of the Democrats, he wasn't a registered Democrat, and he wasn't a Republican. So he wasn't a tool of the Republicans either. And clearly, he did not take hit direction from Bibi Netanyahu.
No, he was also a kid that grew up in southern Utah that is incredibly conservative, and southern Utah very often, that younger generation, they rebel against it. A lot of them end up, if they're gay, they'll come out. A lot of them end up in Vegas. They end up in places that are not far from southern Utah, where they can get away from what can be a very repressive, you know, to some that aren't embracing the conservative style of that part of the country. And, you know, it just, handwriting's on the wall with this one, but people want to look the other way and find something else. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your insight. It was excellent. Thank you, Abby. We'll go to Dude, and then Steve will wrap it up, and I will still catch my train here at the bottom of the hour, I believe. Dude. This is your second chance, dude. And once again, you have failed us. Let it be known. Put it in the annals of this room that Dude has failed us. Steve, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think the guy that came up and was talking about his truth maybe just articulated himself a little inaccurately, Gary. I think what he was trying to say is that for a long time, places or institutions that we rely on sometimes feed us misinformation. You asked for an example. Vietnam War, Westmoreland. Was he telling us the truth about what was happening in the war? Just a question.
Look, I didn't ask for an example, but
I know,
yes.
Yes. Tell me how that manifests itself. Okay, we got Westmoreland.
All right. At the time that Westmoreland spoke, we did not know that he was lying. At the time that Colin Powell spoke, we did not know that the information that he was fed about Iraq was not accurate. At that time, we did not know. Okay, so we could only go. So you could wait a minute. You could challenge. You could challenge the veracity, but to say we can't trust the government to tell us anything accurate, we can't trust the media to tell us anything accurate. In this instant case, Abby just showed us. Do you not trust the information
No, that's not what I'm getting at, Gary. I'm trying to articulate examples like you was talking about.
There are always going to be examples. So the president, the guy asked the president. The guy asked the president at a gavel in the Oval Office the other day. How do you justify lying repeatedly? You lie repeatedly. How do you justify lying to the American people? And the president just waved his hand at him dismissively and went on to the next question, which is his prerogative. But we know that he lies constantly, right? But that doesn't mean that we should be always distrustful of what the government tells us, or does it?
No, that's not my point. And the point you're making is well taken. All I'm trying to say is when instances like this, even at the time if we don't know, start making its way into a societal culture, and they're aware of these things, even if it's after the fact. We can even go to Avon Shift and him saying for all that time. Committee's got information. Comes out it was.
So that means before we have the facts before us.
No, Gary, you're missing what you're missing what I'm saying.
Before we have the facts before us, we should take into mind that Adam Schiff lied to us and Comey lied to us, and there was no Russia conspiracy.
No, you're mischaracterizing what I'm trying to articulate to you.
So therefore, it is okay for us to come up with our own theories and state them as fact.
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to. You ask, how do these things occur? And I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't correct. I'm just giving examples of where suspicion can creep in. And then if someone that becomes suspicious doesn't do their due diligence, like Abby talked about very succinctly, good job, Abby, that they would say you have two people. One person goes and listens to everything that Abby articulated there, gets a comprehensive picture and says, okay, I got it. Another guy goes on some weird website and he's got these crazy out here telling him everything. He's already got this convoluted notion in his head that things are the way they are. That's how it manifests itself. I'm not trying to advocate for it.
Okay. So wait a minute. Let me ask you about three people specifically, and then we're going to wrap it up. But let me ask you about three people specifically.
Okay.
Do you believe that Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have any information that actually points to Bibi Netanyahu being behind this assassination?
Oh, this is the most hideous and convoluted thing I've ever heard in my life, Gary. That somehow Bibi Netanyahu, somehow that this man would be involved. He's got his hands full with the war and everything else, but he's going to take time to do this. No.
So why do so many people listen to these three idiots? Tucker Carlson has a bigger audience since leaving Fox on his internet programming than he ever had at Fox. He's got a following.
And see, that's what I don't get about what you just articulated there, because all these people have a big enough platform and have a big enough following that they don't have to inject this. So I don't know about that. I mean, there's a screw loose somewhere there. I wasn't trying to say that there's a logical reason. Or that people are thinking rationally. I'm just saying, here's the road. Here's how you get from point A to point B. It may not be a pretty road, but that's how you get it.
Right. And those people, because of the reasons that you point out, I'm not going to challenge their mindset of the people, will listen to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owen and Marjorie Taylor Jewish Laser Green before they will listen to me, because I work for the mainstream media.
Yeah, but Gary, I want to push back something a little bit right there. I will listen to Tucker Carlson, but here seems to be a perception of audiences that just because you will listen to someone that may go off the rails one time, that you consume and you believe everything they say. I don't. When I listen to Tucker,
in court, he admitted that he lies.
I know,
he admitted that under oath.
I know, but Gary, just because I would listen, and I think this is a misconception from a certain portion of the electorate, that if you'd listen to these people, somehow you just fall in lockstep.
When I say listen, I don't mean tune them in. I'm saying listen to what he's saying. Not what he is saying. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but you know, like Tucker or he's that younger guy from the Young Turks. Chuck Younger, is that his name? He has the Young Turks. Yeah. Well, anyway, I listen to a broad spectrum of different people and their views.
You should. I'm not saying you should not tune in Tucker Carlson. I used to listen to Alex Jones. You know, it doesn't. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying
you got to understand what's afoot within your culture, and the only way you're going to understand is to tune in and listen to these people. That doesn't mean that you buy into it. It means you're trying to understand what's afoot in
Right. But I'm talking about people who do buy into this nonsense.
I know.
Anyway.
Well, there's your danger, Gary. Right there's your danger. The people that can't do the simple things that Abby articulated, and it's simple.
And by the way, those three people have the benefit of freedom of speech. And as much as I find what they said so reprehensible, I defend their right to say them. And I would be opposed to, let's say, a Democratic president starting a RICO investigation into them, the way that this administration is threatening RICO investigations into people on the other side, including people who might shout at him while he's dining in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
He wants a RICO investigation into that because his little feelings were hurt. You know, if you can't stand the heat, as Harry Truman said, get out of the freaking kitchen.
Well, I hope I clarified my position, Gary.
I think you did, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the opportunity to challenge you on it. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. I appreciate as well those of you who were unusually brief so that Gary can catch his train, which if I look down the tracks right now, I do believe I see the headlight. So timing is perfect. So until 5 o'clock New York time tomorrow for the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum, everybody be safe, be well, and peace out.
Just kind of like subjects to this. Like they've got a choice between, like depending on where you're born, right? Like your choices are Israel, who, you know, to them is they are being oppressed by Israel, and then you have, you know, you may have like Hamas over you. So like it kind of says to me like a lot of Palestinians, they might not necessarily want that extreme sort of thing. They're just kind of stuck between these two regimes.
I have never seen a Palestinian that recognize Israel as a state or think Israel should exist. Zero. Regardless if they're liberal or terrorist like Hamas. They don't think that Israel should exist. Any Palestinian that will say that Israel should exist, they're lying to your face. They don't consider that. They think they lost the war and now it's their time to win and kick out the Jews. Anyone who says else, that's a lie. I give you that. Other than that, most of the Arabs, they just have to deal with Israel. They think Israel is America, so they will not fight. That's my opinion about the Palestinians. They will never admit that they lost against Israel. They will never recognize Israel 100% for I've seen from the Palestinians. So there will never be peace. I think the UK will recognize Palestine states today or maybe this week. I think this is a big bad move against Israel. So.
I mean, the Palestinian identity is based on basically taking over Israel. UNRWA defines them as refugees until they will be allowed to go back to Israel. Their chances from the river to the sea. And the map that they use everywhere, including their embassies, wherever they do have embassies, is of the entire land of Israel. They are being educated about this right of return to all the cities that are in Israel. This is the Palestinian cause. This is why it's a losing cause from the get-go, because it's basically meant to replace an existing state with a different state, and that is not an option for us. And everybody that kind of supports this idea is just using the Palestinians, including now UK, that is recognizing a Palestinian state. Who the fuck are you? And you know what? The most hypocrites are the Palestinians and the pro-Palestinians that are happy about it, because they're angry at the UK for splitting the land and say that it wasn't theirs to give, in a way as if they gave it, and now they'll be happy with UK recognizing Palestine as if they matter. No, they don't matter, because at the end, the situation on the ground, and if it will be like a one-sided decision, Israel can also do one-sided decisions about Judea and Samaria. So, and the last thing about the UK, that basically this recognition came with a condition that if Israel will agree to a ceasefire and will do this and this and this, then they will not recognize. But if they will not do it, they will recognize, as if, or not as if, literally saying that recognizing Palestinian state is a punishment to Israel. It's nothing humanitarian. It's nothing about the Palestinians. Basically, it's conditioned on they're using it as a leverage against Israel. And the worst thing about it, it's the entire recognition is a reward for terrorism, which is the most insane thing. So I think they lost their mind, and I don't think it will really matter for the things on the ground. Yes, it will make things maybe harder for Israel, but it will not actually create a Palestinian state.
Like I get that, and that definitely makes sense. Like I think from what I've seen, like I wouldn't imagine that many, if any, Palestinians would want to, recognize Israel as a state, because that's a part of their whole thing. Is they believe that it was taken unjustly because like the rules of the I guess United Nations, like kind of that agreement weren't honored, all that sort of thing. So I get that. So yeah, like the idea that Palestinians don't think Israel should exist as a state, yeah, I could totally believe that. But what I'm saying is, like, even if that's the case, that in itself, like I would distinguish that from, like, say, the Hamas charter, which originally specifically was like, no, we want to wipe out Israel, like get rid of all of them, kill them, whatever.
All of the Hamas charters say it. Including the current one.
I thought the new one was like they removed language about like wanting to, like, I guess, exterminate people. I thought it was just saying like they don't recognize Israel as a state or something.
And they will continue with the armed struggle against. They did a find and replace Jew with Zionist, but meaning basically the same story. And the reason that you cannot find a solution, or even this ridiculous recognizing a state, is because the Palestinians at the end don't want a two-state solution. Because agreeing to a Palestinian state or a two-state solution means recognizing Israel. Basically, if they accept, and this is why every single offer for a two-state solution was denied at the end. Because it means that you need to recognize Israel, because one of those two states in this two-state solution is Israel. And it would mean basically giving up their cause, which many wouldn't, because they've been so radicalized to it. I mean, even in the West, they call this entire land Palestine. No, it's like they went too far. So now they get nothing.
So what's so bad in the recognition of Palestinian state alongside Israel?
They don't want it.
I agree. I know. Most of them don't know.
And what's wrong?
Official PLO and PA do agree for two states. But what's so terrible about the recognition of Palestinian state alongside Israel?
Because they don't want to coexist. And it's a threat. You want to create an entity on your border that wants to basically destroy you.
So what is the solution? One state?
No state. Yeah, one state, but not for Palestinians.
Continuation of the status quo?
No, no status quo. Maybe they need to move.
Yeah, but where can they go? That's what
I don't know, 50 Arab countries can absorb them.
Okay, I will exactly what you say is exactly the answer for the question why Arab countries do not want to absorb them, because they do not want to be seen as a cooperation. They do not want to cooperate with what they call ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Exactly the main reason why they
That's not the reason, Igal. Don't be naive.
Why don't you hear me?
No, I mean...
This is exactly the reason why Arab countries do not want to absorb the Palestinians.
No.
They do not want to cooperate with the idea which you suggest.
No, they're just hiding. They're just hiding behind us and using us as the reason why not. But no, that's not the reason. No, if people want to move, let's say someone wants to move, okay? Let's say no one is forcing them out. Let me ask you this, Igal. What about the people that want to leave? Why don't they accept them? That is also helping us? Come on, Igal. It's not about that, okay?
The population in the Arab countries, the leaders, they are afraid of their population because they will be seen as
cooperating with what?
With our intent to ethnic cleanse.
I'm not saying, forget about us. I'm saying someone that lives in Gaza and says, I want to not live in Gaza. I want to relocate somewhere else. I'm done with wars. I want to do something for my family. I want my kids go to school and have good jobs. I want to out of Gaza. I want to somewhere else. I assume that there's a few of those, at least. Let's say a few tens of thousands that wants to say, I'm done. I don't want to live now in a tent for the next 10 years. I'm done with this oppression of the Hamas or Israel or whatever the thing is they want to believe in, and I want out. Why aren't Arab countries saying, if you want, you can come here? We open like you are refugees of war, like any other war in history. Why in this war?
For the reason I say. I agree.
No, but I'm saying people that wants to live. So you're saying that a Gazan wants to live, and he wants to move, let's say, to the UAE or to Egypt or Jordan, but they will not accept them because Israel. The Gazans say, but I want to leave. I don't want to live here. No. You will stay there in Gaza because Israel.
You describe the situation exactly as it is. Yes.
And you think it's really about caring for the Palestinians?
No.
That you leave them in a war zone and not helping them because Israel.
Not be seen as collaborators with Israel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's exactly the Palestinian tragedy, that no one really cares about them. As I said before, they're a weapon to basically go against Israel. To defame Israel, to attack Israel, to paint Israel in a bad way. This is more important than helping Palestinians. Let's see all those countries that want to now recognize Palestine, to prepare their wallet to also build Palestine and also to accept refugees and feed them.
So, is there some sort of logistical problem or something? Why not kick them out? Because when I look it up, Gaza and Palestinians don't seem like they have the ability to just leave en masse. They have these tightly controlled borders. So I don't get what Israel wants Palestinians to do. Okay, obviously they're not going to agree to a two-state solution, So if you're the government and you're the people that have control, like why not kick them out? It just sounds like they're being trapped in Gaza and then
no one wants them.
killed and starved.
Because no one wants them.
Yeah,
there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah, but how? I mean, even if there was, like, how could they physically leave if the borders?
What do you mean? First of all, they can leave. There are borders, like Rafah border to Egypt. They can go to Egypt and from there go from the Cairo airport. And if they want to leave, those that also leave now, they go via the IDF through the Ramon airport and they fly out. Like now it's mostly for medical things. It's not like regular, just like, I'm leaving the country. But if like this kid that was on the Times magazine that was presented that he was starving in Gaza was actually taken by the IDF from Gaza via Ramon airport to Italy to get special treatment. But yeah, the people can leave. Like operationally, they cannot leave because no one lets them, no one wants them, and no one calls for it. And any call for them to leave will be cancelled by the thing that Igal said, that it's ethnic cleansing, that Israel wants it, and they should stay and die there, and it's better. While also screaming the women and children. Even these women and children, no one, from the beginning of the war, all the pro-Palestinians are saying, the majority are women and children, No one was calling, like, let the women and children out, or advocating for the UK government, like, let the women and children from Gaza in, like, let's save them. No. Everybody was like, stay there. They should not leave the land. They should stay on the land. Unlike Ukraine, for example.
Or Syria with 7 million refugees.
Or anywhere in the world. Even in 1948, there were like a million Arabs that were kicked out of their homes. There were actually Jewish Arabs that were kicked out from many Arab countries and were absorbed in Israel and in the United States and other places. Absorbed, more than 1 million. Just doesn't have a name like Nakba. We didn't brand it. But it's more than the Arabs claimed that were. And those million were actually kicked out. Not were told, like, leave and we'll kick, like, none of those stories.
So you're saying they can leave through Rafah?
Yes, theoretically, like operationally. This is how they left during the war and until the war.
That still kind of confuses me though, because isn't Rafah doesn't Egypt control that, and then you also said that like Egyptians don't want them. So how is that an option?
No, I'm saying it's an option as terms of like a border, but as I said, no one wants them. And, this is the problem. It's not that they cannot go out operationally wise. If Egypt would allow them either to go through it, they could allow, like, we can go, but you need to go, like, we will take you to the airport, and from there outside, you cannot stay. They could say that. No, we allow you, we will even transport you, but to the airport and out. Not staying in Egypt, for example, but where?
So what do y'all think what do y'all think that the Palestinians and Gaza should do? Like, what's the best thing that they can do at this point?
Leave.
Yeah, I'm still like
Daniel. Don't sugarcoat it.
No, like that's the best thing that they could do for them. Like, to be honest.
It just doesn't seem like that's really an option for them, because if nobody will take them, the borders are restricted.
Nothing is an option. Listen,
I would want to leave, but I just don't.
Every decision is a problem. Okay, staying there is a problem. Leaving is everything is a problem. You just need to. You ask me what is the best option, and the best option for them is to leave. Now, how to make it possible? Yes, people start to advocating for them. They need to advocate for them. They do, by the way, but the voices are silent because the Palestinians are not really, sometimes they kind of interfere with the Palestinian cause, their wishes and wants and no, they should die quietly for the cause. This is what the cause wants. If they want to leave, that's not a good thing. So all the like supposedly pro-Palestinian outlet like Al Jazeera, in order to prevent people from leaving Gaza City, they will spread all kinds of rumors that there is no room at the Muassi, that people are turning back, that roads are closed, stuff like this, just to prevent them from leaving.
Where?
Yeah, so they have nowhere to go.
Find info about that because I hadn't come across that, but I get what you're saying. Like
about what?
That basically you're saying like it's actually like Palestinian, I guess, leadership that's preventing Palestinians from leaving because basically they're being discouraged from doing that. Am I understanding you? Like they don't want them to leave because to do that would be to cede to Israel, which is totally against like their beliefs, I guess.
No, Gaza City without civilians in it is a very easy Hamas doesn't have any cover. Okay, the Palestinian people are the cover of Hamas. If the city is empty or very little, few people are there, then it's easier for the IDF to operate and to find Hamas. So they want them to stay. That's the situation. And the pro-Palestinians, including the leadership, are all benefiting just from Palestinian suffering. Like all of them, whether it's UNRWA with like jobs, whether it's like mainstream media that it brings, I guess, a lot of money, a lot of clicks. Look how many like influencers were created just based on spreading like propaganda against Israel or pro-Palestinians, whatever, during this war. People that were nobody, I don't know, 50,000 or 20,000 on Twitter or Instagram now have like millions. Bands like this Kneecap or this the other guy that chanted death to the IDF, and they become like phenomena, this flotilla that the world is obsessed about. Like, people are benefiting out of it. And you know how much money is like being contributed that is so stupid because they're saying, oh, there's no food in Gaza, please give me money through the GoFundMe. So first of all, how do they get the money? Second of all, if they get the money, how do they buy food if there is no food? And if they can buy food, how do they buy food if for the last 2 years all the food is for free? But it doesn't matter because there's like so much money going on. Go to GoFundMe and check how many Gaza GoFundMe there are. And that's just GoFundMe. And where's the money going? God knows. But I can tell you where it's not going. It's not going to the Palestinian people in Gaza. If you see like that they will give out like a few, this is like nothing. Like they will do it for like the like some kind of a video shot that they will give a box, take a picture. Okay, we brought the humanitarian aid. It's just like, and the product is Palestinian suffering.
I appreciate y'all sharing that. I'm still kind of like, I don't take anybody's word for anything, so I kind of I look into things myself, but it's helpful.
It's more an analysis than like stating a fact. They are a product, Palestinian suffering. Obviously, like you will not find it as a factual. It's more like an analysis of the different powers and their incentives, understanding like what people are doing and also what people are not doing, what people are saying, but also what they are not saying. When there are demonstrations in Gaza against Hamas, like by Palestinians in Gaza, risking their life to demonstrate, because that is not like in the West that you can actually speak out against the government. And no one covers it. And I was looking in Al Jazeera to see if they covered it, like nothing. It doesn't exist. They don't give them voice. So it's not just what they say, it's also, what they hide, what they don't say. Well, there were like 41 hours of footage that came out of Gaza of Hamas torturing Palestinians. Like, literally no one talks about it, all those things. Videos of them like shooting people in the knees, like almost every day. No, No one cares. The fact that they put IEDs and mines everywhere, this we know, right? Because they brag about it. We know how the IDF soldiers die from all kinds of like explosive devices, booby traps and all that. And no one asked themselves like how many children or innocent people also blown up by those mines and IEDs and booby traps. Like, do they really think that those booby traps know that it's the IDF that is stepping on them, or it's an IDF car that is like driving over them? No, but they just know that everything is attributed to an IDF, and it would be very bad for the cause to say that it's they caused by their own people. 15% of their rockets land in Gaza and kill their own people, but it's all attributed to the IDF. Every single death is IDF. And people can think about it very easily, but it's just not comfortable for the cause.
Sweetie, how you been?
Sweet as usual. It's Rosh Hashanah, so I need to compete with honey.
Really?
Honey.
Thanks for.
I was like, my husband would tell me like, pass me the honey. I'm like, pass you the what? Pass me the honey. Pass you the what?
Pass me the honey, honey.
Give me the sugar.
Where are you gonna be for Rosh Hashanah?
I will not go. I was in Israel like a month ago, and like in August, and I couldn't leave. Like I was there for I came for 2 weeks, and I extended it to a month, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I can go back home now. And I couldn't find any flight. It was all packed because it was August. So now I'm afraid to go on Rosh Hashanah, where again the airports are peak. I would rather kind of go against traffic, But my husband is going for Yom Kippur.
Your husband? What?
He's going to Israel?
Yeah.
Wow.
He loves Yom Kippur.
Are you going with him?
No.
Loves Yom Kippur?
Your husband?
Yes.
Well,
he likes the energy in the street, and that he always talks about it to people, because not Israelis or Jewish, about this kind of day in Israel and how it's experienced. And it's very different to Yom Kippur anywhere else in the world because everything shut down.
Is he Jewish?
No.
Yeah, see, I have a complete lack of energy on Yom Kippur.
No, I think you did it. It's very powerful day.
Yeah, no.
Have you ever did it in Israel, Yaakov?
Once, yeah, once.
In a city or where?
Right in Jerusalem.
And did you so you felt that it's different, walking the streets?
Well, just being in Jerusalem is different, I'll be honest.
Yeah. On Yom Kippur. Yeah, true.
Just in general, no, even not on Yom Kippur.
Yeah, I said especially Yom Kippur. But
it's like a double. It's like if it's 3x compared to Tel Aviv, it's like 8x,
Daniel, when was the last time you asked someone for forgiveness?
Musik wird von Daniel PC abgespielt.
What did you ask?
When was the last time you asked someone for forgiveness on Yom Kippur?
Did you say asked?
Yeah, you always do this too. He also emphasizes it. The Yom Kippur is not about asking for, it's about you and God, no?
Well, there is a tradition of between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Yeah, but it's before Yom Kippur. You don't do it on Yom Kippur.
No, I'm saying it can be before Rosh Hashanah or between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, but not on Yom Kippur itself.
Yeah.
So you ask forgiveness from someone you may have wronged.
Absolutely. But that day, Daniel's correct, and I guess we're all correct. Like, everybody's correct. It's
we're
between you and God. Yeah. For me, that's the scariest day of being a Jew.
He's a merciful God. You know, I think if you are honest and sincere, he wants to forgive us. You know, it's.
Well, it's not your income. What else is determined on Yom Kippur? Your income in Shemayim is determined, written down in the heavenly ledger. So if you want to increase your salary, all you got to do is ask.
Yeah. I think as a Jew, as a human, we should always ask for forgiveness, right? Every day. It's just more prevalent that you have to be, you have to be reminded.
Yeah, you know, I think Modani is a good way to start the day.
Many people know how to do it because not many people have actually practiced it. But I've practiced it, and the secret is you have to put the person up on a pedestal, humble yourself, and say, "I am sorry. This is a sincere apology. Will you forgive me?" That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen.
And what if they say, "Fuck you, John. I don't forgive you"?
Was that, BB?
What if they say, "Fuck you, John. I don't want to forgive you"?
Oh, that's okay. You can do it on Yom Kippur. Or you can do it right now, because every day's Yom Kippur.
What's your favorite meal for Yom Kippur?
Forgiveness, atonement, fasting.
Nice. So when I was young, Jewish Resistance in the audience, my cousin, his mom used to make us an apple. And she used to put, I think it's called frankincense. And you put it in all around the apple. And when you were walking to shul and you were having a hard time during your fast, you could smell it. And it kills your appetite. But the smell is so like, I don't know, for me it was like refreshing and peaceful. You remember that? Jewish Resistance?
It was anise. She used to put
anise. Okay, yeah. That's right.
Put those little anise spice things inside them all over, so we could smell them and not pass out from hunger.
Yeah. And you had something to hold. Like it was like, I don't know, it was neat. But then when other Jews at shul would see that you smell it, everybody wanted to smell it. Because it works.
We used to go down to Yorkville and we used to go downtown and buy snuff. That powdered tobacco we used to snort. All the old men used to do it. And we started doing it when we were kids because we thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The Moroccans. Oh my God. All the old men, and they had the biggest noses. And they would do some snuff. Like they put it on by their thumb in between, like in that little like dimple in your hand. Do a little bit of snuff, and then they would sneeze like crazy, and tears would come. But I don't know, it's actually amazing.
It stops you from wanting to eat. That was the whole point of it. It gets rid of your hunger and it makes you think of something else. And it was also for smokers, so they could put a little something in their system.
Yeah.
All the tricks. We used to keep cookies in our toilet bag.
As I got older, though, it's like it flies by. When I was a kid, every minute counted. It was like so long. I'm like, oh my God, when's it over? When's it over?
It's true. As you get older, it becomes nothing. Especially for me, because I'm at working the synagogues, right? So it just flies.
Yeah, how's your week, bro?
Yeah, good. I've been away a lot. I'm still away. But good. Uneventful, thank God. Which is what I want. But, yeah, a lot of running around,
Yeah. Wait, what's up, Nye?
Did you guys read about the laser became operational?
Space laser!
I was not going to be in space, but...
Like next year.
No,
they finished like a good test, another good test, and they kind of renamed it.
Really? Because the article I read said it was now declared operational.
Yeah, it will declare operational. Yeah, but it will become operational. Maybe it's like a play on word base. It is declared operational. It will become operational. I guess now deploying it and whatnot. The beginning of next year.
I read it was going to be in a plane first.
On a plane? Did you hear about the way that the missile in Qatar was made, was launched?
No, missile on Qatar. The one that got the house? I mean, the building where the Hamas guys?
Yeah.
No, I think I know it was, but tell me.
So the planes actually, when they took off, they didn't fly towards Yemen, but the other way around, and then it was a ballistic missile that was launched from the plane. So it didn't go over territories that would risk them, like Saudi Arabia or whatever. So it was launched basically from...
I don't think you mean ballistic missile, but kind of similar to like a cruise type of missile, a glide bomb.
No, I think it was ballistic. Why not?
Ballistic are like ground to ground, or from land to land, not from plane.
But from the air.
Yeah, I think wrong word, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Nye, how are you?
Air to ground missile.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So what's this thing about what happened the other day? Maybe, I don't know if you can answer. I think you can, but with the movie, some awards, and these people making a stand, and there's like 3,900 signatures. What was that about with Israel and stuff?
You talking about the Emmys?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I did see highlights, and I remember the highlights I mostly saw were actors saying, like Javier Bardem said he's not going to work with any production companies that support Israel or Israeli funded. It's one of those quotes. Either production companies that are Israeli funded or Jewish, backers, financial backers, or but so he's very pro-Palestine. And I saw other highlights of other attendees ranting on and on about pro-Palestine. And I remember thinking, how, you just want to watch an award show. I don't care about these actors and their political views. Maybe somebody does. I don't know who. I guess maybe that's what the people want to see now, where their actors stand, their favorite actors. Maybe they want to tune in and see actors and musicians taking a political stand, whether it be, voicing if they lean more right, more left, if they're pro or against Israel. To me, I'm going to be honest, I was just thoroughly disgusted. I didn't watch the Emmys for a number of reasons, but the highlights that I saw of all these actors, pro-Palestine, never mind their opinion. For me, it was like, man, can you just come out to the award show and just celebrate the arts? Do we have to make it a political stance on the red carpet? I was a little disgusted, to be honest with you.
Yeah, plus that winner, what was her name, Hannah Einbinder, made a really strong public quote that she had to separate herself from Israel or something to that effect. Her conscience was disgusting.
Honestly, I was a little surprised by the reactions, considering how many Jewish executives there are Jewish producers there are, a lot of Jewish-owned production companies. And so I just thought it was kind of, I mean, first, and the number of Jewish actors there are in Hollywood. I was a little startled by the stance that folks were taking. You know, it seemed to kind of contradict with the long-standing history of actors in Hollywood. You know, they're typically either they're pro-Israel or they just don't make public opinions about this. So it's very curious to see why they switched. Jaya, I would suggest you be quiet while I'm talking. And if you want to stay in this room, I have you blocked. I have you blocked. So if you leave, you probably won't come back.
I moved him to the bottom, so.
Yeah, he came into a all-female room last night and streamed our room and then changed the headline to make it seem like we were, leaning one way when we weren't. It was very disrespectful, very creepy, and very abusive. So I'm blocking you across all channels, even though it doesn't matter. You'll just create new accounts. So I'd advise you to shut the fuck up while I'm talking.
Well, there's a problem with somebody that wants to run for a government position that doesn't respect people's privacy.
Yeah, it's really annoying. He came into an all-woman room last night, mostly black women, but not exclusive for black women. It was all women. Why you were in there, I don't know. And we kept telling you to leave. And we reported your YouTube channel. I don't think it'll make a difference. But I'm really tired of your bullshit. I'm really tired of you. You're so disrespectful and so weird and such a hypocrite. You got the nerve to come on people's stages and tell them that they're clown house and they have nothing better to do, and that you're so well read and you read all these books, but yet you spend all your time violating people's privacy and harassing people online.
And he's got 60 fucking phones.
Wait, is he still in the room? Is he still in the room?
No, he's there under anonymous, but I hope he has the common decency to understand what Nye just said and respect people's right to privacy.
So now my homegirl's got to change her room to private because of John. She had never even heard of John. Now she's got to change her rooms to private, right? Limiting the amount of women that she can invite into her space to support and encourage women because of this creep and freak, John Kitover. Sorry, BB, for hijacking this.
No, not at all.
You mentioned that he had interrupted me.
You know we love you.
And to Normal's point in the chat, yeah, it's a bunch of actors virtue signaling. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was about to say that. That's what I thought Kana's, statement was about. She's the most interesting one because she grew up modern Orthodox too.
This mind disease is spreading very quick. It's going to be amazing though when people start not supporting these psychopaths. Like, you remember all those people, all those actors that said they were moving out of the United States if Donald Trump won?
A couple did. I think there should be a law that if you say you're going to move, if so-and-so gets elected, if they get elected, you have to move. Like,
I agree.
It should be a requirement.
Yeah, Rosie left, and who left? Ellen.
Ellen and her wife.
Yeah.
What's the actress? I forgot her name.
Portia de Ross? Yeah.
De Rossi or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. And a couple others did. England seems to be the destination of choice. How they get by the immigration...
Money.
Yeah, that's probably the answer. People try to get into that country legally, and it's really hard.
Okay, this is the Green Bean Fascists.
Yo, so I got a back channel message now from Scotty. He said that he's trying, and I asked him like 2 times, I'm like, you sure it's Nye? And he's like, yeah, man. JB, is he trying to get you to open a room with both sides?
Well, no, when you say both sides, what do you mean? Well, he asked me a couple of days ago if I would host a room with him, and I said, sure. Right? I said, what day, what time? He said, it's up to you. I'm like, okay, what's the topic? It's up to you. And then I think later that night or the next day, that's when JB went off on him in the room because of his PTR, and I was like, oh fuck, what happened? So I don't think I didn't know that JB felt some way. I don't know that JB felt some way about him until that day he came on the stage with his PTR and JB questioned him about his PTR. So I haven't spoken to JB about it, but I don't think JB is at this point willing. But yeah, I agreed to co-host a room with him before